Out of all the bodies of water around Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, probably the one with the worst water quality, but arguably the most beauty, is Ashmun Bay. This is the Blue Ashmun. Why is Ashmun Bay's water quality so poor? What makes it the way it is? Well, most of it boils down to the Redfield ratio. That is, the ratio of carbon to nitrogen to phosphorus in water. However, human activity can change the amount of phosphorus in an ecosystem, as phosphorus can only come from the watershed. Nitrogen can also come from human sources, but as it also comes from the atmosphere, it is usually quite prevalent in ecosystems like this. With Ashmun Bay's close proximity to a steel mill, there is a high potential for iron in the water, which can, with oxygen, cause a sink of phosphorus to be formed. This sink of phosphorus can be a blessing and a curse, as it prevents the phosphorus from getting into the ecosystem and causing eutrophication, but if it is released, if the environment becomes anoxic, then you can have a sudden influx of phosphorus into the environment. Earlier I mentioned eutrophication. Why would eutrophication be a good thing? Many nutrients seem like a good thing. You would think algae would also be a good thing in higher quantities, as it produces oxygen which other organisms need to survive. An increase in algae, however, is not a good thing for water quality if that amount of algae is too high. Although algae do produce oxygen photosynthesizing, they must die, and high numbers of them dying and being decomposed takes oxygen away from the environment and can create an anoxic environment. And, as you know, no oxygen means no life, besides maybe autotrophs, and definitely no fish. Alas, here is an example of a human putting phosphorus into the ecosystem. Farmer Steve here is fertilizing his crops. Don't know why he is by Ashmun Bay, don't know why he is in November. The point is, he is adding phosphorus and probably some nitrogen to the ecosystem, and this is going to cause eutrophication, as the algae are now going to have more nutrients than they know what to do with. Some algae also produce chemical compounds known as microcystins, which are very toxic to many organisms, including humans. And if the algae bloom, and they do produce these microcystins, there can be high amounts of them in the water, making it impossible for humans to drink it unless highly filtered, or for fish to live in the environment. Nutrients aren't the only thing that humans can add to the ecosystem that damage water quality. We can also add ions that make waters uninhabitable for certain plants and animals, and therefore destroying life. Probably the most common ions that are put into the water here are salts. Salts of all sorts, mainly road salts though. As people like John here put road salts in their driveway, or on their sidewalk, or at the Ashmun Bay boat launch, they add salts to the watershed, which will eventually find their way to Ashmun Bay. If the concentration of ions gets way too high, this can kill fish and lyse their cells, destroying fisheries in an area where fishing is quite popular. All that aside though, although Ashmun Bay could be a lifeless wasteland, there is one organism that seems to survive out of it all. Maybe because it is the most toxic thing there, and that is the Ashmun Bay whale. Observe its majesty and beauty in this beautiful place. This is Blue Ashmun.
Holy shit.